Hi, I'm Kamran Pasha. I'm the author of Mother of the Believers, which is a historical epic novel on the birth of Islam from the point of view of Prophet Muhammad's teenage wife, Aisha. So this is my first novel, and I've been thinking about the character of Aisha all my life, and I've been drawn to her for many reasons. You know, one of the biggest negative stereotypes of Islam is that it is a misogynistic religion. And at the same time, I was raised in a family of devout Muslims in which really the women were the dominant forces. And my father was a very gentle man who let my mom make all the decisions. And in many Muslim families, that's really the way things are. And so I was always startled by this dichotomy of the image of Islam as a misogynistic religion versus my actual experience of it. And it goes back to the earliest days where you have Aisha, who was the Prophet's wife, who was this remarkable woman that doesn't fit into that stereotype. She was a scholar, a historian, a poet, and a warrior. She led armies all the way into Iraq. And so she was this remarkable woman, and I was stunned, as a fan of historical fiction myself, that no one had really spent a lot of time looking at this amazing figure. I mean, she's up there with Queen Elizabeth, with Cleopatra, with some of the greatest women in history who changed the course of history. So for my first novel, I thought I really want to take a look at Aisha and her character as a human being. You know, as I wrote Mother of the Believers, and I researched it, one of the most surprising things for me was exactly how human the early Islamic leaders were portrayed as by the early Islamic historians, by the people that recounted the stories about them, the oral traditions and the history that we had. They were not portrayed as saintly figures who were incapable of making mistakes. They were portrayed as very human people that had passions, that had feelings, that could make mistakes, that could repent, and that could find forgiveness. And you know, the rawness of the early Islamic accounts of life in the Prophet's community and the humanity of his followers, it really touched me as I read it, and I tried to bring that spirit of humanity into writing the novel. And so the responsibility of how I portrayed these great early Islamic figures has been weighing on me since I started writing, because I know that there are people out there that are frankly bigots, who are looking for yet another excuse to say Muslims are angry people, they're uneducated, they're violent, they're misogynistic, and they'll take historical things that happened that I refer to in my novel and say, here's proof of it, and here's a Muslim writing about how horribly violent these people were. And that's one of the reasons I became a screenwriter, that's one of the reasons I became a writer, is to try to spread stories that portray the Islam that I experienced in my life, which is a very positive and very joyous and compassionate tradition.